All right, we'll call the meeting to order. We'll have the roll call. Is anybody here for public forum? Step right up. You too, Dave? Also? Okay. Yep. Come up to the microphone. Name, social security number,
Oh, no, don't do that.
date of birth.
I'm-
Well, we're worried
It's
about the
worried
people
about
on
the people
online.
Oh, okay. I didn't realize it was online.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. I am Barb Knabel, and Dave is here. He's here on my behalf, and my husband, Dave.
Okay.
And I'm here in behalf of Camp Companion. Is anyone familiar with Camp Companion? Yes? Okay. It is a foster-based rescue organization for cats. They do adopt out animals, cats, as well as I believe they share with some of the other organizations in Rochester with dogs. But Camp Companion is basically a cat organization. And they don't really have any physical address. The cats are adopted and placed in a foster home. And it's a nonprofit organization. The lady from Camp Companion was supposed to be here tonight, so I'm trying to fill in and do a little something for her. So I have some information here if, any of you would like some of this.
Okay.
It lists telephone number. Her name is Michelle Quant. She is the executive director. And the organization is.
Well, we can make copies too, for others, at a later date.
Good Lord, how'd you get that phone number?
The organization, I'm kind of a kitty person because they're kind of my child substitutes. I've had an interest in cats for a long, long time, but what brings me here is the fact that we have so many cats in the area. Dave and I live on the south end of town, and over the years, I have spent money just doing this on my own. I've trapped and then taken the cats to the vet and have given shots and altered them so that we don't have this explosive cat population. Does anyone have any idea what the feral population is for cats in the United States? Any guesses?
170 million.
Well, that's over. It is 40 to 100 million.
Okay.
And that's way too many animals that are abandoned or, hurt, not cared for. So what this Camp Companion does is they have a TNR program, which is trap, neuter, and return program. And they have partnered with Preston. So if you need more information other than what I can give you, they have partnered with the Preston City Council, and they also have partnered with Preston veterinarians. And it's listed on your sheet there, the prices. So if you have a female, I believe it's $88. If you have a male, it's $68. And just to give you an idea, I had a female that came into the front porch this last winter. She had cuts under her eyes. Her eye was swollen. She was very thin, very sparse hair, just really in bad shape. And I took care of her for a few months, and she's just absolutely gorgeous right now. I did take her to the vet here in Harmony, and by the time I was done with the shots and with the spaying, it cost me $500. So it's very expensive if you're trying to do this on your own, which I have done for the 20 years that Dave and I have been here in town. But I'm looking for some help from the council to partner with Camp Companion. You can call Michelle and talk to her. She'll give you more information. Or you can talk to the vets in Preston or some of the city council members over there if you know someone from that area. But I just think there's many people, including Dave, and we're kind of next to farmland, but we get a lot of cats in there. I've seen 4 this winter. And generally, I do the trapping and the neutering or spaying myself, and I find homes for them. Or else I partner with Camp Companion, and I take them up there, and then they find homes. It's an explosive situation. And, you know, one person can't do it. I can't do it, but I need your help. And I'm hoping that the community can help because there's so many kitties that I see around Harmony. And Preston has stepped forward. I think we all just need to do our share and try to put an end to this feral population.
I saw that Mabel did the same thing in the journal. There was an article about it. Do you know the general cost that comes to the city for having such a program to do the catch, fix, and release?
I believe it is split between the city and Camp Companion. And again, Camp Companion is funded by donations, but I believe it's split. So if it's $68, you'd be paying $34, which is very reasonable. It's a lot better than $500 that I just paid. So, any questions? Any other questions? Nope.
I don't think so.
Dave, you want to say
Thank you.
Spent that much on it. Then again, you have to do it.
I don't really have a lot to add other than I've had 3 kittens show up at our house. 2 of them in like January or so, February, probably 6, 8 weeks old, no mother. 1 show up and then tummy looked full and like it had been eating. And so I kept and started feeding it and trying to find a home. And I found somebody to take it. And then a couple weeks after that, and another kitten showed up. Looked like it might have been a litter mate, a little bigger. Again, it showed up like it had been eating, but just dropped off. They were friendly enough, and I took that one. I found a home for that one within a couple days. Now, about a month ago, I had another one show up, about the same age, 8 weeks maybe. Found a home for that one now too, so I homed those. And I also have 3 male cats that are all neutered. And a female, a frail female that I can't get a hold of yet. I gave Camp Companion 2 kittens. They came and got 2 kittens from me this winter also, and homed for me. But it's kind of frustrating when you get all these little kittens, and it's bad enough getting grown cats. I don't know where these kittens come from. Somebody dumped them off or what they do. And they just showed up under my back step, and they're friendly. And pick them up, and they're used to people. And what else do you do? A couple of years ago, I got rid of a female cat and her 3 kittens too. I homed those too. So I've been trying to get rid of the cats as they as much as I can, but it gets kind of tough work. And like she said, it's kind of expensive to get your cats neutered or spayed. It gets to be an expense.
Mhm.
Harmony Clinic, vet clinic, does the spaying or neutering for me. But that's about all I got to say. Is don't know where I get these kittens from them. They're so young. It's really frustrating. That's all I got, unless somebody had something to comment.
Okay. Thank you. Yes.
The only other comment I have is the prices that you see on the paper there, that includes the rabies shot and the distemper, which is, and the spay, like I say, it's 68 or 88, and my cost was 500. So it's a big difference.
And so just to be clear, that would be through the Camp Companion.
That
Would they contract with the local vets, or do the cats have to be transported up somewhere else? And-
No, they would go over to Preston at this point, but I'd like to talk to the vets here in town
Mhm.
and see if they could partner, which
Sure.
I know they have a barn cat program right now, but it's not quite as inexpensive as this program. So
And who does
it's a good deal.
the work of the catching and treating and releasing the cats?
They have a group from Rochester that will come down and they will trap. And then, of course, the animals are given their shots and spayed or neutered and then released again unless they can be adopted. And they have a site on Facebook in case you want to go on there and look at that. And they have pictures of the cats. They have a lot of people there, the pictures of the families that are adopting. So there's lots of good families out there. We just need to trap the kitties.
Okay.
I trap too.
Okay.
I'm going trapping. Camp Companion, I think, told me they had something like 1,100 cats they owned in the last year, throughout the year. But they do try to find homes for whatever they can.
All right. Well, thank you both for that.
Thank you.
If one of the counselors is interested in looking at that, we can ask to have that put on the agenda next month.
Sounds good.
Do we have a motion for the consent agenda? There wasn't anybody else for public forum, was there? Okay.
Second.
Motion and a second for the consent agenda. Any discussion?
Thank you.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
Hearing no discussion, we'll call for a vote. All in favor of the consent agenda, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Citywide cleanup.
Citywide cleanup. I didn't have a whole lot in there other than the cost, which is from Southern Minnesota Recycling, which we did not have last year. Yeah, I think it was the day of. We had some costs of recycling for various items that they would take. They're available late May, early June to do another recycling day and clean out day. And that was kind of a couple weeks ago. They got back to us, so wasn't sure if that was something you wanted to do again this year.
Is that one where the people would have to bring it up to the community building?
And then we would work with, I would assume, Richard, to see if he could come help us or drop off some dumpsters or whatever, however I don't don't think it was well last year when we did it, but
It was Father's Day.
that's what it was. It was Father's Day last year, and that was,
I think it was a dumpster and they sat up here and
That's what it
made sure
was.
you weren't throwing stuff in there.
but it, we're trying to get ahead of it this year, because last year we heard a lot of feedback that, they just didn't have enough time, they weren't aware, it was for Father's Day. Weekend, it was, people had plans, so. End of May, early June, you're also running into graduations. But
Are we going away from going around town? Can I pick it up like we did that one year? They won't do it?
So when we did the around town, it was SNS out of Preston
And
and Bill Hanson.
Bill Hanson out of, Chapel.
Yeah, the two partners to do that.
Okay. Gotcha. And we can't go with them because we're contracted through Richards now.
He won't do it.
So they,
He just won't.
Oh.
Richards just won't do it. And,
Is that-
SNS.
or- and SNS and.
He doesn't have the manpower and nor the
Correct,
trucks and because all his like side load or front load.
yeah, well, that's right, yeah, that was the other hiccup that we had.
Yeah, I think it needs to be done. People like it. People,
I think we should do
We can keep it, if everyone's okay, we can, we'll just move forward, we'll start working on a date.
Just locked down. I would lock down a date in like the beginning of June maybe.
June 1st is a Saturday. I mean,
I think,
First or the eighth would.
I think it was the, I can't remember, I don't know if there was any dates that were given, but we'll ask for early June.
Yep.
Okay. We'll work on that. So you need a motion in a second for that? So proceed with that and.
I make a motion to proceed with the
Second.
date.
Have a motion and a second. And what did it say? To determine a date?
Yeah, determine the date.
Any other discussion on the spring cleanup? Hearing none, we'll call for a vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Planning and zoning. Got 2 cups.
2 cups. My first cup, and I have 2. First one is pretty straightforward. R1, we learned of an Airbnb, being operated out of 134th Avenue Southeast, which is an R1 zone. Not knowing how other administration had handled them in the past in R1s, planning and zoning decided to move forward with everyone doing a cup if they're going to have an Airbnb in R1 because that is a special exception, a cup use. They reviewed, everyone was notified within a 500-foot radius of that location. Had good feedback at the planning and zoning meeting from someone who was actually next door. And thought it was actually an improvement as compared to a long-term rental prior. So the planning and zoning was recommending approval of the cup until the change of ownership, but in discussion with Craig, that goes with the land, so it would be a permanent.
Permanent until conditions violated or if it's, you can't have a deadline on it.
So they're asking for approval of that short-term rental cup in R1.
I'll make a motion to approve the cup.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve the short-term rental cup. Any other discussion? Hearing none, we'll call for a vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries.
Should we just make it clear so that planning zoning recommended the approval with a time, a sunset on change of ownership? You guys should maybe clarify whether we approve it as recommended or just
corrected differently as
So just make sure.
Make sure it's in the note.
Okay. Then we have a second cup.
Yes. This was a lot more in depth. The Overland Engineering Group, I gave you kind of a outlined, agenda, cover sheet. They submitted a complete application for a conditional use permit, for a retail variety store to the Planning and Zoning Commission. The conditional use standards, were found to be, met, with a conditional approval, and we can go through these. In accordance with the resolution, 2207 that was passed a couple years ago. The conditional approval, they're asking for conditional approval of the cup, to ensure the water rate control and the runoff from the impervious surface that's going to be in place is the same or less than the current runoff, which our engineer, Brett Grabo, has reviewed, and said it would, it should stay the same. The second conditional approval the planning and zoning was asking for was, ensuring screening and buffering with a fence and 6 foot. It's actually a 6-foot fence and a 6-foot arborvitae, trees that are on your plan submitted, in between the industrial zone. That's gonna change that landscape quite a bit. So they wanted to, planning and zoning wanted to ensure that there's enough buffer between the industrial and, the residential there. The third was, exterior lighting and signage on a timer, with the security lights, to be on after their business hours. From what I've understood from the engineering firm as well, is that's pretty standard.
Not to be on or to be on?
So
Those lights will-
the lights, the security lights will be on at night, but like the
But not to be
big
on.
illuminated signs, that will be on a timer shut off at, does that make, right? But they did feel that, there were some utility issues that were addressed, by engineer Brett Grabo, and your plans are the final plans, and he's reviewed those and signed off on those prior to planning and zoning. But the planning and zoning approved that conditional use permit and approval of the cup with those conditions. And they're requesting, approval of the retail variety store conditional use permits with conditions.
I'll make a motion to approve the conditional use permit with the conditions set forth or recommended by planning and zoning with a couple additions. One of those being a hitching post for the Amish, if they use it, they have that available to the Amish, just like most of the other businesses we have in town. And then the other one would be to comply with any MPCA or MnDOT permits and regulations.
I'll second that.
And what was the last part of that? Any MnDOT or
MPCA.
MPC?
Yeah, pollution control agency.
comply with the recommendations or the-
Permit, any permits or regulations that they would have.
All right, we have motion and a second. Any further discussion?
So at the zoning meeting, there was discussion around MnDOT having concerns around water flow. Was that followed up with?
Yeah, that, their concern was that they had to make sure that they pulled the proper water permits and water, is it Brian, I believe, was the engineer, one of engineer representative that was there. So they do have to submit plans to the state for water runoff, and comply with that. That's, totally out of our purview. But they were made aware of that, and they're aware of the regulations.
And that's one of the reasons.
And that's one of the reasons why you put that.
Sure.
Yep. In your conditions.
And then there was talk about having a flow rate test being done between now and the zoning meeting?
Brett said there's no issue, there's no difference. It's just, concrete versus, gravel and dirt. He said it should be negligible. He felt with heavy rain, we all have standing water at some point in our ground, because it doesn't all absorb in. So we're gonna expect to see a little bit, but what kind of a heavy rainfall would we have to have that kind of standing water. The utility committee did address, there's some drainage issues that have been discussed part to the west. So after that water runs down, it runs underneath, is it Wicket there, or is it Wicket, yeah. Into the west, and that waterway, as like other waterways that we've worked on in the last, about 9 months, hasn't been dug out, addressed, the drainage, the silt, and all the things that happen over 15 years in time. So that's something that we're going to be working with, to take a look at this spring and get that addressed, because there's last month we had another drainage, issue with another resident that we're gonna help them work through that process, so.
And after the comprehensive plan was accepted by us, was that forwarded to planning and zoning and reviewed?
Correct, yeah, they reviewed it before the council did, actually.
And is there integration with new zoning that's going to happen with that?
Probably at some point we'll go through the
Yeah.
zoning ordinances, but we're going off of zoning ordinances that we have now.
Yeah, in this conditional use permit, this ordinance was just created 2 years ago.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Yes, zoning ordinances are going to be, that's on the next month's agenda, is to start going through, our ordinances and zoning and ensuring that's up to date with our comprehensive plan.
And is there reason to take into consideration from the council standpoint what the comprehensive plan says regarding planning and zoning, what the community wanted, and then moving forward with that? It's not within our stipulations, but it's written within the comprehensive plan that we adopted. And I don't know how that works legally, but
It's in the
The
comprehensive plan
comprehensive
too.
plan is a guide, it's not
correct.
written
Yeah.
in stone. It's something the city can try to navigate through that, so in the future, that's what it's looking for, is future development and those types of things.
Correct.
My personal opinion.
It's very hard to hear you. If nobody's using their mics, I can only hear them here, so sorry to interrupt, but.
Okay, thank you.
So it's a guide, obviously, and some of that, and the way I read the comprehensive plan, this would fit into that. So you can interpret it however you want. It's all an interpretation, so.
Yeah, I would see interpretation that would say that it is not effective for the community. So that's why I would personally be against it. There's specific content within the comprehensive plan that I found that would not be in support of having anything that's not smaller business oriented, I guess. Page 31 talks about sustaining a strong, healthy business community, that it's crucial to the long-term health of the city of Harmony. Business is one of the key factors in improving the quality of life experienced by jobs, and generates for the residents to support necessary city services, and locally owned businesses are often the sponsors for community events, cultural celebrations, and community enhancement efforts. Thriving businesses are more apt to give back to their community, enhance curb appeal, and be a valuable resource to local groups and organizations. Page 33 says the idea of retaining a small town feel was by far the most important area to everyone who was on the comprehensive plan committee. Page 33 says the economic development goals are to attract, retain, and expand commercial opportunities by enhancing a business-friendly environment and encourage new startup businesses that will diversify and strengthen the local economy, as well as to encourage and support local business development. And given those things, I don't see how this fits into that. It's not within our zoning, but I think it's valuable to look at the comprehensive plan as a guide, as you said, to make our decisions for the future of Harmony.
Yeah, I think a lot of that in the comprehensive plan is saying what we're trying to encourage, right? So I don't look as this as encouraging. Nobody encouraged Dollar General or Overland, to my knowledge, but
Correct.
and they aren't asking for any assistance.
Right, but I think it discourages community-oriented businesses.
Okay. Any other discussion?
Can I comment on the conditions of specificity?
Sure.
There
Yes.
might be a way to improve a couple of these, just to make them more black and white, whether they're in compliance or not compliance. Like, for example, with the lighting, it could specifically state hours or lights on no more than half an hour on each side of business hour. Something where there's a clear, either they do it or they don't do it.
So what came out of planning and zoning and why we didn't, because we talked about specific hours in that. And this is the law enforcement side of me talking. If you have an incident where they get broke into or something, they're gonna light it up more. And how do I wanna, it's security lighting, so we gotta be careful. In my opinion, you have to be careful of that. Because if you look at Crescent Equipment, it's lit up like the 4th of July, and the reason for that is because of the issues that they're having. And that's a recommendation for us. For lighting, cameras, those types of things, that's a recommendation from law enforcement to deter crime. So I just want to be careful with that. That's my opinion and experience, I guess.
Are you thinking the timer? Like half an hour ahead of hours of operational hours and a half an hour after closing?
I'm just saying, they could have a timer that flips them off for an hour a night and be in compliance with the way it's worded right now. So if the intention was to have it just not as loose or open to interpretation of different ways, you could narrow that in. And it might be too far to put a specific 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock on it. But you could say something that's still more general that accommodates, they could change hours in the future, right? So it could be
Sure.
no later than an hour after close, or I don't know what the right.
Yeah, I think we talked about that too, is because you don't know it's hours of operation necessarily. That's what, we could do that. Most of them, actually, all of them in Plymouth County are not lit up at night. Family Dollar General, no. And I can say that with certainty because I drive by them all.
Are you talking the lights outside, or you're talking the security lights or the?
So they're shut down, there's minimal lighting on in all of them, the signs are not on, there's no real external lighting per se on them, currently. That's not to say if you have an incident, you're not gonna get some external lighting. So I just, from my side of it, I just wanna be careful that we don't lock ourselves into something that we're too narrow, and then we start saying, well, you agree with this. I get where you're coming from,
Yeah.
Greg. Absolutely.
Yeah, it just depends on what your goals are with the restriction. If the goal is not to be a nuisance to neighbors because the parking lot lights are on too long, or the sign is lit up too long, and just ask yourself, will this help you meet that goal? If it's good enough and you trust them, that's
The
fine.
only thing that I would say probably that would is to limit it to, if you want to get specific, just security lighting after close of business. When there's no longer an employee there, something along those lines. And this is, I'm just thinking out loud. And then probably minimal lighting to the rear towards any residential area. You know, we have residential behind, and I don't want it shining necessarily into their windows. But we have to be careful. You know, and they can direct some of that too.
And then the only other thing, I think was with number one in the water rate, are you guys thinking just at the time of approval, or is that supposed to be always a consideration? That's unclear to me from how it's worded too. You could specify if that's just a one-time review and it's good, or if it's more than that. I don't know. Those are the only two things I put out as far as thinking how clear is it for a third party to look at this and understand what's being asked of them or required of them.
I guess my opinion would be it would be just per the plans we submitted. But we can, if it feels like we will lock that entirely, we can.
Yeah, Brett did not see an issue when I forwarded him the plans for his review. And then MinDOT just said, ensure that there's all state compliance, which is, and they did not ask to see another plan review. I don't know, I can imagine that you'd had a parking lot and then I've never seen a business, well, I mean, had another parking lot, I could see where that may change, but,
Could we do something like, unless they change the landscape, per the rate of flow is acceptable per the plans. And any alteration to landscape needs to be, the flow rate needs to be assessed.
Reviewed, again, basically under another conditions permit for some extent.
And that's probably the easiest. So I would amend my motion to include that language with if there's any updates or landscape any changes that for flow and rate of water runoff, those would have to be reviewed through planning and zoning. And then security lighting would be just any will be maintained throughout the nighttime hours and within an hour of the start working.
And I'm just curious, who brought up the water flow in the first place? Was it DOT or MPCA?
no, who was that? It was MinDOT just wanted to ensure that there was no small retention pond that was needed.
Mhm.
Yeah. But that's.
So it was MinDOT. Yeah. So, I'm thinking at some point in the future, I think if someone does something major to their property, somebody beyond the city of Harmony might be looking at it. So I don't know. I can't think of another business in town that we have some sort of go forward forever requirement to test or be looked at.
Yeah, but if you change, we don't have another business in town that sits on a waterway either like that.
Mhm.
A storm waterway.
And Dairyland was a different thing. That was a whole different animal. That was a different type of acreage that was a required retention pond. There's different thing. I mean, that's
And that might,
beyond what anything I know anything about, but
and those rules and regulations change, and I think you're right, Steve, that it could be that some other state agency is looking at it if they change the landscape, but I think we as a city also want to have some skin in the game to make sure that they do that.
Okay.
this would be my thought process on it. Because we would see the construction before, and better MPCA possibly, so.
And were you the second on that? Do you agree with the amendment also? Okay. Any further discussion? Hearing none, we'll call for a vote on the second cup for the Overland Group with the changes and amendments and conditions. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed?
Aye.
Motion carries. You're abstaining? Okay. Bike trail purchase agreements. You want to take it, Greg, or?
I think we've given updates at recent meetings where there's a couple of spots where we just need a little more land so we didn't have to lease from a neighbor who we can have a good relationship with. Not a bad one, but just can have a relationship with them. So the two purchase agreements in the packet would represent the handshake deal we have with the two relevant landowners. And so we're looking for the council's endorsement to go ahead and proceed with getting a little bit of a survey update and then closing and making those purchases, which I didn't count the acreage, but it's under 2 acres overall. And so there would be some outlay of money, I think, as some Chris or I described in the past, the city would be fronting the cost for the purchase and the transaction expenses, with the idea that eventually when the DNR takes this over, we would get reimbursed. And I also believe the other point that's been made is the community foundation has grown 15,000, made 15,000 available to help for the bike trail, of which that would be dipped into first. So that's the general overview.
I would make a motion to approve the purchase agreements with both properties and the other legal activity that goes along with that.
I'll second it.
We have a motion and a second for, that's both purchases, correct?
Yes.
And all other expenses. Okay, motion and a second. Any other discussion? Hearing none, we'll call for a vote. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. And for, where did we, it's showing 10,000 per acre
Yeah.
on a per acre basis. And how many acres are we looking at?
So the survey will tell us for sure.
Okay.
But I think it's maybe about 1 acre on one of them and a couple tenths of an acre on the other.
Okay.
More or less. I can't remember exactly, but
So the 15 will go a long way towards covering it.
yeah, I think so. I can run numbers here while you talk about other things, just to make sure.
I'm just looking at what the city's outlay is going to be on top of the 15,000. It's not going to be a significant amount, so we can just fund that out of the general fund.
I take that. So it's about 2 acres on ours. That's 88,000 square feet, it's a little under 2 acres. The other one's 20 feet by 500 feet, so 500, it's not 10,000 acres, so it's a little over 2 probably.
Okay.
We talked about different iterations. This is the, make a straight line and take a little more, so.
Okay. All right. Industrial lot parking. Industrial parking. Did I say that right?
I'm like, how do I word this? This is the industrial park, that's parking, right?
So remember when the EDA had requested that we do something with the semi-parking? And part of that was because of a purchase agreement and the TIF district that was being set up, and that person wanted to change that too. And where we're currently doing the semi-trailer parking is down below the nursing home, care center. With the change in or the soon-to-be change in that property up there. We kind of talked about moving that back up there. It would be on one side of the street. I feel that it's a better location than down there, and especially a better location for snow removal issues, even though the guys are gonna tell you it's a pain. It is a pain up there, but I think it's a bigger pain down there. So,
And just to clarify, the first discussion the EDA had on the parking out there was when the vet clinic currently has an option. And they were concerned if they were going to build out there that they were concerned with that road being blocked because that would be where their entrances would be.
well, obviously, we can't block an entrance, so.
Right, but if there's parking on both sides
Yeah, and I
and
wouldn't want to park, I wouldn't want to park on both sides.
somebody's bringing in a large animal and trailer, that kind of issue. So I think it's something, I have no problem with doing that now. And
It's probably gonna be
revisiting it.
revisited at some point when more of those lots are sold.
Yep.
And we keep talking about finding, or I keep suggesting finding a better location.
Mhm.
Because we have them, but, I think the change now based on what's happening out there makes more sense.
Okay.
And I guess my opinion would be to bring the trailer park in to the south and west sides of the streets.
to the north end of the street.
However.
When you say south,
if
do you
wanna
mean
do
up by the
south-
water tower or the water, the well?
So around the corner, like from Howard's up is where we typically park.
Mhm.
Around the corner towards the well.
Yep.
I would keep it all on that
Yeah.
south and east. or
Okay.
South and west, not east. Keep it so you have the same. However, the south.
Mhm.
Yeah.
All right.
We could do. Just, we can tell them. As soon as-
So as a part of that, are we going to have the city staff put signs up there
We
for
still have-
no parking one side?
Yep, we still have
There-
the signs that were there.
There's,
So
okay.
we can just put the post up and,
Put them back on.
yeah. They're all back up.
Okay.
I second it.
Was that a motion?
Sure.
Okay. Then we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion
Yeah.
on the parking in the industrial park? Hearing none, we'll call for a vote. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Anything with the building and maintenance?
You should have, I sent your updated agendas out this morning, and then we got that in about 5 minutes later, the wastewater treatment report. The only other thing that I did not get into, last month, 2 months ago, we had talked about the mini splits, or not mini splits, what are they?
There's split.
Yeah, I know it's a mini split, what are the other ones? The
Oh, the key tag.
E-tanks. Mine was not heating my office, thankfully we've had a very mild winter, because it's starting to pick up again. We've had some issues with Lisa's, and then another one was also freezing up, so, I asked Terry to go ahead and get a quote for the mini split. We can actually do, 3 zones, 3 different heads with one condenser unit, if that's what you want to call it. We got a single estimate back for $9,161, not including the electrician. The electrician to do the council room was right around $400. So I wouldn't anticipate it to be a whole great deal more. So I was looking for,
And they're heat pumps, so they do air and heat.
yeah, they're just like these, just like this mini split that we put in here. But there's 3 of them, so it'll be my office, Lisa's, and Karen's. to replace the PJACs that we have. Cooling and heating, and then they go down to minus 15 degrees like these two. It's the same thing, just with 3 units.
Can we get that on the agenda for next month to have that quote with the products and everything?
You can have it. I have a quote if you want to see it.
Sure.
Yeah, she just submitted it the other day. And I think in the council room, I think it was just shy of 7,000 to do the 2 here, so it's right in line. And we do have it in our budget for the community center building. Okay.
So I guess that could be a vote on its own, correct? We could make a motion for it or not.
I would like to get it on there.
We could have a motion.
They're kind of busy, so, and I really, I'm glad it hasn't been so cold, but,
I'm not making a motion.
air conditioning this summer might be nice. My pump runs sometimes and then nothing comes out, so.
I'll make a motion.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to accept that quote. Is that what that is? Is it a
Yes.
quote?
So-
Okay. And it's 9,000, and then we're doing the electrical also.
Mhm. And that was about $400, just about 401.
Okay.
For the council, I can't imagine it would be much more for the office.
All right, anybody have any further discussion on that? Hearing none, we'll call for a vote. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Abstaining? Okay.
You made the motion, but you abstained on the vote.
Wants to do a vote.
As long as Greg's okay with
She
it.
was like,
I was just saying, I'm really not sure how that works.
Got to look in my parliamentarian book.
Bring that with me.
Keep you on your toes.
The pocket version.
Right?
All right, anything else with the building and maintenance? No? Okay. EDA board. Anybody want to talk about that? We had the gentleman from potential solar operator. And we're just considering that at the next meeting, correct?
The update would be anticipating re-owning a lot that had previously been deeded to Mr. O'Connor. So that's in the works and hopefully it falls together like it's supposed to. So have more inventory.
Mm-hmm. Harmony Chamber gave us a report. You can look at that. You have any comments tonight,
Sure.
Erica?
Our part-time director position will be posted on our website by the end of the week, and it'll be in the journal and the direct list, their next issues. So for more information, go to our website, find us on Facebook, all of that. We also have a volunteer roundup on March 25th from 6 to 7 at the Visitor Center. So if you thought about volunteering at the Visitor Center, that's a good time to learn more.
I saw Preston hired somebody and they said they had 12 applicants. So. Park Board?
Oh. Yeah, we're talking about water conservation ordinance, which will be coming through, splash pad rules and that to be posted. We did talk about soliciting for bids to paint the basketball court for the Rutgers League summer help, tree program update. That's about it.
You have the tree program alert that you all approved last meeting. That will be coming out in the next round of bills. And then we'll post a form out on the website. We'll have forms in the office. Got a little bit of a ahead of it, but all forms will be due June 3rd. Let me double check. Don't publish that, just do it till I tell you. Hold on. Oh my goodness. Yeah, all forms are due, I believe, June 3rd. And then that's a Monday, and so then we can get working on compiling everything. I did hear back from the tree house, and they are working with us this year too on when we plant our trees. So they don't necessarily have to be in the fall, so we'll see how our ground shapes up, and hopefully it's a little bit more rainy.
A couple people have approached me about the tree program, wondering, can they get the trees at that price buying, without them being boulevard? Not getting the half paid by the city, but
It's,
pay that full price and put them in their backyard or
they should
wherever
pay.
they want.
Yep,
Yes.
Yep, they just pay, they pay half price if it's a boulevard tree,
Mhm.
and then full price if it's a tree anywhere else on their lot. And then also on our form, there is an option to have your trees planted for you. And we do keep them separate, so, or the tree house on that.
Okay. Library board,
No updates from library board.
arts board.
Arts board, we, so last year, our student representative, Eva Hemingway, started a postcard contest where local artists could submit works, something harmony related. There's a theme each year. This year, the theme is Let's Have Harmony, so local artists can submit something they want to see on a postcard. Those will be printed and distributed throughout businesses. The deadline is April 10th, so local artists have right around a month to get any sort of designs they have in. The arts board will then select 3. There's a small prize, but mostly it's ways to highlight local artists.
Okay. Fire department, nothing happening there. Quiet. What?
Want to entertain someone speaking from the audience?
I just had a
Sure.
question. In
Okay.
regards to the art, does the format have to be a certain size?
Good question.
No, it doesn't. And it can be submitted either by paper or on a thumb drive, whatever way you want to send it. It can be 3D, it can be whatever you want.
There's a poster hanging up in the hallway. You walk in, check out.
Thank you.
Okay. And sheriff's report, everybody sees that? Anybody else have anything for meeting? Hearing none, we're adjourned. Thank you, everybody.
I looked it up. It has been done.
Yes, it is.
It has been. It's not against
Turn it off and I gotta turn it back on.
I don't know what the issue is, because like, when I-
Can't prepare
You
a
can't
motion, but I
make-
can,
you can
yeah.
make a motion.
I can make a motion for it.
Are you awake now?
Yeah.
Can you sign this before I forget? Oh, sorry, was it?
I like keeping your pillows. I mean, it's been done, but. I looked it up, I was like.
Yeah.
That's a separate issue.
I
thought I heard you say it. Okay. Make up your. I'm good at that.
My alarm just goes off and then I hear the baby shout and I say, "Oh,
In the hush, until it started smoldering and then went up the tree. I know, we usually do. Oh my gosh. You were so disappointed.
I don't care. Do you remember the last time Dollar General? How many feet?
Had a big tree in front of the
That was a big one. They got it.
For that day, well, nobody looked at it. That one, I put the car towards the bench. That was-
Midnight.
I built a spec house up there. And he told me at this meeting the other night that he's fixed, because I put a door in the basement on the north end. And he said that he's fixed that now, so the water doesn't come into the basement, It never came into the basement when I was building it or had it.
You talking the one that don't live in the.
Yes.
I know we figured out.
Yeah. Well, see, at least this is the sediment flows in. And then it drops off and it just sits in there.
Yeah.
You know, you get all the sand and sediment in the road, but it seems like if you have a 2 minutes parking lot as opposed to gravel.
Yeah.
You're gonna have water, you're gonna say, gravel runs over.
Doesn't bother me one bit. It doesn't, person putting doesn't bother me one bit.
They had a truck stolen,
They had, they had a truck stolen, sold
You're
for
actually
fine.
just like water runoff or grass or
Sold for
something.
fine.
Really?
Off the truck.
There is some.
And
You gotta have
they're on
your-
the road.
Yeah. That's why they have such a big budget.
That's why you have walks.
The way it is, I
I just wonder if somebody.
It doesn't.
Oh, yeah, well, I tell you what, that one is just,
Yeah, I don't grab it.
like, you don't see it. It is really.
Yeah, I was. What? Yeah, you're like 23 and 24. That's not ours. I can't, buddy. Have a good one.
Oh, yeah, I know that,
Well, the other
that's
thing
the sign, I know that's terrible.
I was at the planning and zoning committee. Okay, they said that if it changes of ownership,
Oh, right.
that should be extinguished.
Yeah.
That should be extinguished. It shouldn't go with the property. Tonight, they said it's gonna go with the property, and you know who brought that up? The guy who sat in the chair.